Welcome to Cloudscapes, your go-to podcast for all things cloud native. Our aim here is to keep it real and have down-to-earth chats about the cloud to also help you learn something new and be inspired on your cloud journey. As always, I'm Teppo Suominen, your host and a team coach here at UpCloud, and with me is my co-host Jannika Jokinen, a senior account executive here at UpCloud. And I am extremely pleased to welcome our guest today, Tim Terreur, the COO at Hosted Power. Hello, Tim, and welcome.
Hello.
So great to have you. So let's start off with the basics. What's Hosted Power all about? What's your thing?
At Hosted Power, we're like a high-performance managed hosting provider with a real strong focus on developers. So we try and differentiate ourselves by focusing on the developers themselves. They don't like the infrastructure part, so we know where to go there. And the performance is a thing. We once started in the eCommerce, and that's where it came. All the web shops need to go. They need to go fast. So that's where we started, and that's what we kept on improving through the years. That's what we do.
Brilliant. I've heard you guys explained as a product built from the command line. Is that still true, or have you jumped forward from that already?
Well, indeed, we really did start from the command line, and we built a stack. It was really difficult in the beginning of times to actually sell it, because we had this stack built. It was really great to have your application going really fast, but we didn't have anything to show. So like one or 2 years ago, it was all really deep technical, and 1 or 2 years ago we came up with the idea, well, let's start and build a graphical interface on top of that. And now we are more and more placing our platform, the TurboStack platform, in the front. And this has actually helped us really far into convincing people to see what we do, and it helps them. Of course, we use tools like Ansible, Kubernetes, GitLab, and all those stuff combined in the platform. So it's a lot of technical things that are going on. But if you just have to click it on and off, it's much more easy for our users. So yeah.
It's a lot easier to understand when you see it happen in front of your eyes.
Indeed. You can be sure of
and
that.
And it does show off your speed as well when you're able to show like, hey, just like that, and it's there.
Yeah, that's also why we're really good with UpCloud. We have combined efforts to reach speeds that we've never seen before. So in the hosting part, we are really specialized in tuning every little setting you need to have your application running at top speed. And then we have the best CPUs and stuff like that. And we combine those two technologies to make sure we have the best speed that is possible. And for our clients, it's like so important, because in the e-commerce, you have like SEO. Google likes your SEO, of course. The user experience, if we have ERP systems from big industrial people and all the people in a magazine who have to work on the back end, who have to check the stock, or where is my pallet at this time? Is it on a boat or is it on the truck? All those things. It's a lot more interesting if this goes fast. So you don't want everyone to be. No one likes to wait. Indeed. I always give the example of when you're ordering shoes on the toilet on an app and it goes slow. You're like, no way, man! I'm going to buy those Adidas's on another app, and we're making sure you're buying them on our hosting.
And I think that's actually more or less every consumer nowadays. Like when you're doing anything on the internet is slow, even though it's not really slow, but it's slower than you're expecting. You're like, actually, I don't need these shoes, and it affects the buying journey as well and the buying experience. So for sure.
Latency costs revenue. That's a thing. So you can really be sure that that's going to help you if you have a performant hosting.
All right. I actually had written down here as my next question, why does speed matter? But we went into it already. Like, as you said, latency costs revenue.
Yeah.
But how then can businesses stay competitive when they are online? Is it all about speed, or are there other considerations that you come into as well? Or is it just about making sure that you've got the stack that makes it happen?
No, indeed, we have a lot more going on, of course. I think in the world of today, you also need to be scalable. You have reliability. I think that's also an important one. And the thing is, it's really difficult. You have the developers, they want to code, and we have the system engineers and all that. But how do you manage to make sure they can give hands to each other? And there's a whole part in between, where you have like the pipelines and the CI/CD stuff and everything there going on as well. And we're trying to also take that into account when we offer a solution. We have our platform to standardize as much as possible, but we still go and talk to the people to see what their needs are. And if it's an interesting one, we make it into a feature and we can sell it to all our clients. That's kind of our go-to-market story. It's how we work things out. Yep.
Okay.
Other things is flexibility. I think we have like this sort of thing. We never want a vendor lock-in. It's a weird thing to have this, but we let our clients are free to choose which provider they need, to combine providers. If one provider is not sufficient, you can move your infrastructure. Kubernetes has been a big help onto this, but that's what our platform wants to do. It wants to combine all possible technologies, and for certain solutions, there's certain for certain questions you have certain solutions. I'm sorry. And that's really important to us, because we came from the open source community and we want to keep on supporting that idea and that community.
For sure. So kind of from looking, I always come from the development perspective, since that's my angle in everyday work. But looking at that angle, it's also about speed there, because you're trying to make the stack as usable as possible, so you can, like, your customers, when they come in, they don't need to worry about how and how they get stuff on the stack. It's as easy as possible. You just got the CI and you put your code there, it runs, it's in, you can see if it works, and you can do your management and changes as you need it and see fit. Then when it is maybe about the speed, when you really need to be fast, how can you make sure that an application or website can run even faster? Where does that competitive edge come from? As much as you can tell, of course, we're not trying to dig out business secrets here. But
no, we keep track of every update from every part of, if you have a PHP stack, if you combine PHP, MySQL with a RabbitMQ or a Varnish caching on top. But even when we add a new version of TLS, that's really a small part. It has a small influence, but we tested it thoroughly. And when a new version of TLS, before we implemented it onto our stack, which was every client receives updates when the stack is updated. We did the tweaking so thoroughly that we were sure it would have the best results. If you do this consequently and over everything you do, then you get a faster stack in the long run. It's been an experience of more than 10 years combined in technology and knowledge that has made our stack what it is today. So I don't think a lot of competitors, and that's not even a salesy remark, I don't think they are as fast as we are when we get to enable our stack onto the whole application.
Yeah, and I think, well, we discussed a little bit about, e-commerce and the importance of speed there and other applications as well. I'm a bit curious to hear a bit more from your side, that if you think about, your customers, and of course they value the speed, but is that the only thing that they care when they turn to you, or like what's kind of the ideal customer for you, and how can you actually help them with their goals and needs?
Yes, well, I think more and more we came from the e-commerce, but more and more we're seeing the shift towards the developers. It's a broader audience. I think more companies are interested in that kind of story, and I think also that there's a lot of new SaaS projects emerging. And I think then the fact is that our platform is performance ready. We have a lot already in our on the shelf, but what we do is we approach them. We can actually make a sort of a custom stack, which is multi-deployable for our clients. So if they have a product that they want to sell themselves, and when they have to make a setup, when they have to set up their own SaaS application for each client they have, we can have an automated setup for them. Our stack is automated. For each project they sell, we have an extra solution ready. So that's our growth model as well, of course, because once they have a project, they need hosting, and that makes it really interesting for us, of course, to have you have those e-commerce agencies, but you also have SaaS development parties and others, and that's what I think is where we're going. Yeah.
Yes. So technically making the life of your customers way easier.
Yeah.
So they can actually focus on, their business and improving the life of their end customers.
Yeah, where we used to say we're a managed hosting specialist, we're now saying from code to cloud, we have one platform, and all things combined, you can leave it here.
That's
cool.
I think one of the main questions you often run into when someone transitions to the cloud or they're starting a new company. They the main selling argument is the scalability and the ability to kind of but with just the one click, you can get more if you need more, and just being able to provide that through you. And I think that's something that really UpCloud and Host Power share, is that we want to be there to be able to provide whatever the customer needs at a moment's notice.
Indeed. The danger lies in the fact that a lot of people see us as commodity, but once they get to talk to us, they notice the difference. They notice the passion. We still work on the platform, and there's a lot possible. We have a standardized option, but there's a lot possible that is custom as well. And I think we notice that when we're talking to UpCloud as well. Your guys are thinking with us about all the hardware needs we have, and I think that makes a strong story for real.
And it's if you are actually interested in the needs of your customer, then you align differently than if it's just the one-click shop where you get the shoes, sure, but they're not custom made. If they're custom made, then you love them that much more.
Yeah. And the handwritten letter, thank you for buying the shoes here and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. It's a customer experience. It's a thing. Our bigger clients, they come over to our offices quite often to have these tech deep dives where we can share, where we know their challenges, because what new features do we need to build? I think it's the ones they're asking us to, and that's how we get to know them in person, and that makes for a long-term story.
Exactly, for sure. And this sounds very familiar from what we've experienced and looking at as well.
Indeed.
Maybe a bit back towards the tech. You mentioned that you've got over 10 years of kind of fine-tuning and making sure that the stack works as well as possible, and I think it shows. But if we look at the very low level, even close to infrastructure, what are the challenges there that you can fine-tune, and where can you find the best ways to leverage what you can out of the infrastructure that you've got?
Well, close to the hardware, I think we have first of all, the databases in our world. It's really important to have the database performance up there. So we do a lot of SQL tuning, indexing, and query optimizations. The CPU, we don't want your application to waste resources, because cloud resources, they are more expensive. That you pay for your resources, of course. So cloud CPU and memory usage are one of those things. Other ones, the load balancing, redundancy. So if we spread the traffic, we're sure it's going faster. We want to avoid bottlenecks at all times, of course. But with UpCloud, we have a 5 gigabit online reassured. So that's really great. The networking and latency. We want the fastest route, of course. Those things. I think those are our infrastructure challenges that we fine tune. Yeah.
Maybe then following up on that, well, we know the answer from what you said, but I'll ask it anyway. Does the choice of data center matter?
Yeah, of course. I think for the most of our clients who are in the Benelux, we choose Amsterdam because of, we know it's a good data center there, but also it's a centralized point where the internet actually meets with M6. There's a lot of centralized European internet traffic coming there, passing there, which makes for a good speed. So that's why we chose Holland.
Network is simply better, like you said.
Yeah, it is.
You need to have the speed. It doesn't really help if you've got read and write all right if the network is the bottleneck.
Indeed. And in Europe, I think Holland is one of the best. Amsterdam is one of the best places to be having your data center standardized. Yeah.
Sure. And of course, if you are operating from somewhere a bit more distant, then you might choose a different one.
Of course, we have clients.
But that depends on, like, of course, where you are working from and where the customer is.
Yeah, that's true. We have the most of our clients are, of course, from Belgium, as we are a Belgian company. But Holland is also Dutch speaking, like us. So those two countries are the biggest clients we have. But the rest of the world is it's common because we have this platform going on now, and we notice we can and the big advantage on UpCloud is you can deploy all over the world. You have data centers ready everywhere, so there's no reason for us to be panicking yet. It's you're there. It's okay.
Exactly. Brilliant. Then maybe expanding on that a bit. Multi-cloud strategy. How can you leverage that into your favor?
Oh, damn. Well, it kind of supports the whole point we're trying to sell now by avoiding the lock-in. So if you have multiple clouds available, not a single vendor to lock you in, the whole open source story.
Exactly.
Also, I think, you need to take care of the costs. Some of the cloud providers have better small solutions than others, or you can have, I think it's really important, especially when you're looking at hyperscaler, to have cost control in place, because otherwise you're going to pay a lot of money on the traffic alone. UpCloud has the advantage. It's can I call it a more traditional hoster? But it's more the classic data center with a virtual machine on top. But funny thing is, we've made both movements already. We've gone from traditional hosting to hyperscalers, but the other way around as well might be a real smart move, as ITers don't or developers don't always see it that way because they think hyperscaler is the way to go. No, because you might be paying your ass off if you're not watching out. So
if you're paying for every API call, then you need to really watch what the API calls are, or you will end up with those 5 or 6 digit invoices dropping into your email.
We even go we even go as far as that we can centralize your GitLab or GitHub as a service next to your actual application with us, and you don't need to pay for the workers as at your GitHub or GitLab anymore, and we centralize it. So we have a whole story going on in which you have like a fixed cost per month for the whole of your application, and the developer has it all centralized without a vendor lock-in. So that's a multi-cloud strategy where we are the center of it all, and I think that's really cool. Of course, multi-cloud for redundancy, classic story. Exactly. I think, of course, you can't leave it out. If you have an outage, especially when you have a containerized solution, you can just pick it up and move it to another cloud provider. In the back end, it's a little more complicated.
It's a bit more involved.
Let's not go into that.
No, that's exactly why a customer would like to utilize you guys. That you make it so easy. It's just like, hey, I would like to move this container over there, and then you guys are left scratching your heads on how to actually make that happen. But that is part of the offering and
it's the whole automation story we've implemented. Yeah, indeed, and. One step at a time, we're adding more providers we're supporting, and that's the whole thing.
Exactly.
And then performance optimization, I think, hosting different locations, CDN stories, I don't know, for better user experience. Once you go global, you need to make sure everyone is is delivered correctly. So there's another good idea for a multi-cloud strategy, I think.
Yeah. And I think from my perspective, when I talk with a lot of customers from different fields, I think the multi-cloud is becoming more and more common, because I feel like even some years ago, it was like, okay, we're going all in with one cloud provider. There's nothing wrong with that either. But I think it's quite interesting to see that now companies are more mitigating the risks and thinking of the use cases that, okay, we having this kind of development environment, maybe we could use this provider for that. And then we have this kind of use case. Maybe we use this provider for that. And, trying to maximize the usage of their cloud infrastructure in the most efficient way. And I think it's quite cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's not stopping yet. We have like this idea to have your old DTAP streets managed by us, no matter where if your development server is somewhere else. It doesn't matter if you can deploy automatically to your UAT and then to your production. We're going to try and help you out. So all those things are really, and the infrastructure really is pulled loose from the rest of the story. And yeah, I think we need to be innovative on that side. So it's interesting what's happening there. The multi-cloud is really, really for the next 5 years where we have to look at.
And from the open source perspective that you mentioned earlier, it's a really interesting development to see that we're maybe moving a bit more towards the kind of foundational internet in a way that we are working more in multiple environments at the same time and trying to have our service and your service speak to each other more, instead of just doing it like, we've got our locked in code and like we don't speak with anybody else, which was maybe more the model 10, 15 years ago. And I would really love to see that. It's great that we're moving more maybe back towards the roots in that sense.
Yes, and I think each company or each provider or whatever you want to call it has its own strengths, and they need to focus on that. And we're confident that we have an added value in the market. So why keep our doors shut? Let's keep them open and be strong at some point. And another company is better at other things. So each has his own focus. So I think it's the good way to go. If you're not doing that, I think in a couple of years you won't be relevant anymore.
Exactly.
Keep an open mind.
Yeah, and partnering up with those companies that do other things than you do, so that you can focus on your core, is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. No discussion there.
Brilliant. I've gotten to the end of my list. Jannika, any topics you want to expand on, or shall we move on to our finishing questions?
Yeah, I think we can move on to our
All right.
interesting finishing questions.
So we've got a set of 4 questions. You can answer these with a single sentence or a few words, just whatever comes to the top of your mind. Don't think about it too much.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Fire
kept
away.
this as a surprise for you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So starting off, number 1, what is the cloud trend you currently see emerging in Europe that interests you the most?
The cloud trend, yeah, well, that's the multi-cloud story we just talked about. Huh? We're really looking into the platform from a very open perspective to make sure we are ready to actually let everything enter into our platform, so we can make sure we can help our users better. So yes.
Great, thank you.
Okay, then I have a next one for you. This may be a bit more personal one, but in my opinion, these are always quite fun to hear. Because of course, you also work with cloud all day, all night. So when you're not navigating the cloud, what would you say is your favorite place on Earth?
On Earth? Behind my barbecue. I like the slow and low cooking a lot.
Brilliant.
So, yeah, it's my way of timing out, to say, having like a piece of meat for 5 to 6 hours onto my barbecue, really slow, have a pint with some friends, and then talk, not too technical always, but put some music on and have a beer. It's my way of zoning
Sounds
out.
like
Sounds quite nice.
sounds like a perfect way to unwind. Okay, brilliant. Then, what is the one book, movie, or experience that has had a great impact on you?
Oh, it must be Pulp Fiction, I think. Yeah, that was.
All right.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Quentin Tarantino. Followed it all, and Pulp Fiction was when I was like 12. I had to wait for my parents to watch it because it was too rude in the beginning. So when I finally got to watch it, and yeah, it's full of classic
Yeah.
quotes, stories, and everything. So that's one of the greatest movies ever made for me personally. There's a lot, but this is the first
but
one
that
that
is-
comes to mind. So
That is definitely a film classic. So
okay,
brilliant.
And then one more question from my side. So we've been talking quite a lot of different aspects today during our chat. So if you think about, one thing of our conversation, so what's the one thing that you wish people would take away from this conversation we've had today?
make sure you stay away from vendors lock-ins. If I think you have your own business, be smart and never step into that trap, because I really hate it when companies do that. We even avoid to have like long-term contracts or stuff like that. If you're not happy with us, then you can go away. It's no problem there. We'll try and go. We do everything we can, but there's other companies in which you have like those long-term 5 years contracts, and they will never yet let you go. Well, if they let you sign those things, start asking questions, I'd say.
Yeah. No, but I think that's a very good way of looking at it, kind of having your product speak for itself. Like, our product is good enough that you don't want to step away. We don't need to lure you in with these contracts that lock you in for years and years. Instead, have something that's just so good you want to use it for 5 to 10 years.
And if a certain feature made you go away, it's not good enough yet.
But do let us know that we can make it better.
Yeah, well, we can learn from you. So that I make a thing out of it, that we always have a meeting if a client goes away to know what we can learn from it. So yeah, there's always a good reason.
No, that's really good. And just kind of learning and being able to also step up to it, that, hey, all right, like, we're not the fit for you guys just now, but hopefully we will be that in future. And here's what we're doing to get there.
Indeed.
Great. All right. Thank you so much, Tim. Trying to wrap up our conversation here and distill a bit what we discussed. So, well, like you said, vendor locking, try to avoid that. But outside of that, it's often about how fast you're able to give your things to the customer. No one likes to wait, and that is built from many tiny aspects that you guys at Hosted Power have made sure is part of your core and what you do.
Yep.
And then outside of those, there's a lot of choices that matter, where you're located, how to avoid the bottlenecks, how to make sure that the infrastructure and the software are working together, and making just sure that the customer experience is as good as it can be. And that comes into many things. Using multi-cloud, like you said, is one of those options. Having those choices available, giving the completely lost the word there. Sorry. Like having those small improvements and
the tweaks on the turbo stack.
Tweaks,
you mean?
yes.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for. Thank you. And all of that is just like part of the bread and butter of what you guys have there. And well, I'm very much looking forward to seeing where us with you can go forward and push the envelope even further, because like you said, the platform is there, you're ready to expand, and we really want to go there with you.
Yeah.
On our roadmap, next big one is actually we're now setting up a story in which you can have an infrastructure as a code story, where we can actually ask the developer, you put 2 or 3 lines of code, and in the back end we will automatically deploy the servers with your code. So that's what we're building now, and it's going to be implemented into our platform in during the coming year. So
All right.
something to look out to.
That sounds really good. Brilliant. Well, all right. Tim, thank you so much for joining us and having this chat. It was wonderful to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you, Jannika, as well as always. And to everyone out there, thank you so much for listening in.